All right, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us once again to our monthly webinar. My name is Mike Plum. I'm the manager of customer enablement and adoption here at Litera Microsystems. So I'm really liking this MC chair for the webinar. So once again, I've a guest speaker that's much more knowledgeable about today's topic. So today we're going to talk about our metadata solution, Metadact 4. And Metadact 4 is actually hot off the presses, just released a few days ago. So we're going to discuss what's new as well as walk you through several different scenarios. So presenting today is Jack Nagrowski from our sales engineering team. So Jack has over 5 years of legal IT experience, and he truly understands the balance of technical components and usability. The technical comes from starting originally in our support department, where Jack was one of the main reps implementing and troubleshooting metadata installations. Now he's on the front lines working with IT and other teams showcasing our solutions. We always love your feedback and welcome it on our various webinar topics, so let us know how we did and if you thought this was relevant. We'll provide a short survey at the end to get your thoughts. If you have questions during the session, enter them in your question window and we'll answer as many as we can during the Q&A session. If you missed a previous session, all of our past webinars are on our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and type Litera Microsystems. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Jack to begin the webinar.
Thanks for the intro, Mike. I'm excited to show off some of the common workflows that an end user encounters on their day-to-day life with Metadact. With the release of Metadact 4, we've made many improvements and introduced new functionality to improve the end user experience. And today I'll be covering some of those workflows, some that you may already be used to, as well as some new functionality that we've introduced. So first, let me cover some of the new pieces of functionality here. So as you know, with Metadact, it provides a comprehensive server and desktop management to protect law firms, organizations from loss of risk, financial risk, data leakage, and possible malpractice due to inadvertent disclosure. Regardless of the device or email method, Metadact's going to ensure that it's thoroughly scrubbing all the metadata to help reduce the risk to you and your firm. So with the release of Metadact 4, we've added a few new features to it. One of it is being a big one that we've had a lot of requests for is the iManage Work 10 integration. So being able to right-click right from within the web browser to clean metadata. Also the ability to switch between local server cleaning, and even increased password checking efficiency. And most of these items that I'm going through right now, I will cover momentarily here as we kind of dive into the workflows that you normally experience. And one of the other advantages as well is the ability to clean and reattach files right within the email message that you're working on. So a lot of the times there are users that are concerned that they want to make sure that their files are being cleaned appropriately, and having that ability right on the ribbon to clean and reattach is something that we've seen a lot of value in. One of the other features as well is having the ability to actually change selected metadata values. So whether that's the comment name or the author within the document, you're actually able to edit that name and make it specific to what your needs are. We also have improved reporting functionality right within the Outlook ribbon. Being able to manage alerts in your cleaning profiles to prompt users for items such as track changes or comments. And even an updated UI and rebranding with the merger that we had at the beginning of the year. So some of the workflows that I will be going through here today are just some items that you're already used to. So just attaching the email, clicking send, and having Metadact take care of the cleaning on the back end, or having the ability to alert users, especially when you're collaborating, having the ability to prompt if there's track changes or comments in the files that you're sending, and allow the user to make the best decision that's appropriate. Having the ability to skip cleaning or turn off cleaning, and showing off the new feature of changing metadata values right within Outlook. And I'll also lastly be showing off the iManage right-click functionality that you can get within Work 10. So from here, I'll kind of dive right into some of the workflows and the functionality that you see with Metadact day-to-day workflow. So I have some emails already drafted here, and I'll kind of go through the standard functionality that you're used to. So in this case here, I have a document attached. You can see on my ribbon up here at the top that I'm going to be cleaning with the server, and I'm going to use select my high profile for this particular email. I will get into some of this other functionality here shortly, but we try to make this as seamless as possible because email is a very important workflow, and we want to make it at least intrusive as possible when needed. But of course, we also want to give you the more granular options if you have those users and have that ability to really change the certain types of metadata that you want cleaned within a document. So with this one, I have the email, the attachment here. It's just an example file. I'm going to go ahead and click send, and Metadact processes the attachment and sends it on. And everybody's probably well aware that that's basically the standard workflow when you're sending email. It uses the profile that I selected and cleans it appropriately and sends it off to the recipient. The next workflow I have set up here is I have some alertable metadata in these files here. So once I click send, I'm going to get some notifications that there may be track changes or documents in there. And as I mentioned before, whenever you're collaborating, it could be necessary to retain these items so that way your recipient can see those track changes or comments on the other end here. So when I click send, Metadact will kick in, realize that there's some alertable metadata in here, and it's going to give me the ability to choose what I want to do, whether I want to delete or leave the comments, even slide notes in a PowerPoint. We're coming down to the Word document I have here. I can easily accept all the track changes, reject, or leave them. And then once I click OK, Metadact takes care of the rest. It retains those options that I set and sends it on to the recipient appropriately. Now, just getting back to the ribbon here, you can see that I also have some options here with Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, being able to set those alertable metadata types. So whether it's, excuse me, whether I want to accept all, reject, or leave those items, I have that ability right on the ribbon. And if there are alertable types of metadata in there, it will retain those options and persist throughout my Outlook session. The next option that I'm going to go over here is the ability to turn cleaning on and off. There are times when sometimes users don't want any metadata cleaned, and that's when you can come right up to the ribbon and simply uncheck the cleaning on button, and you'll see everything gets grayed out, letting me know that the cleaning is off. But there's always those times where, or situations where I want a little more control of my metadata that are in my documents. And that's where you can step into the cleaning options here. And what that'll do is take a look at my attachments and show me what types of metadata that are in here and what options I have the ability to override from my default policy. So I've exposed a few different types of metadata in this particular, in my particular profile, giving me the ability to delete, change the value for comments or track changes. And this is great for when maybe you don't have alerts set up. You can have the user come in here and be able to change the default values to override the profile. Now, the other big feature that we introduced with Metadact is the ability to change some of the built-in properties that are in the document. So there's always those situations where, you may clean the author name, and when the recipient gets it, it may say unknown, or it may not display anything. But with Metadact 4, we give you the ability to change that information if you want. So by default, I have mine set up just to say Litera Microsystems, but you can come into here and change it to something like John Smith. And that way, when the recipient gets it, instead of being myself as the author, it would show up as John Smith. And then when I click OK, it retains that information. And once I click send, it processes the metadata, alerts me if there's anything in there, and allows me to move on. Now, I'm just going to click cancel here and pop out and show the clean and reattach functionality. So this is great for maybe I want to make sure that the document's been converted to PDF and actually been cleaned. I know there's always a concern sometimes when when sending with server-based metadata, that there is always the ability to make sure that everything is cleaned appropriately, and that's what you get from the clean and reattach functionality. And what you'll see here is it'll clean it, it'll convert it to a PDF, and give me that confidence that the metadata has been cleaned, and I can move on to the next item. So that's really the main workflow for Metadact here. And the other item I wanted to show off as well is our functionality within iManage Work 10. So I have a couple documents loaded up in my Work 10 environment here, and it's as simple as right-clicking on the document. You get your right-click menu that you're used to in Work 10, and you can simply click Metadact Clean. And what that does is it'll launch our Metadact application, and you'll see the file loaded here on the left. I also have the ability to load other files right from the DMS. So I'll go ahead and pick the PowerPoint file here as well. And then you can get a few different options from here. So I can go ahead and analyze the metadata to see what types of information are in the files to make the best appropriate decision on how to clean them, whether what profile I want to use or if I want to retain some information. Metadact will also alert me to those alertable items that I have set up based on my profile. So we can see in my Word document here, if we go to the metadata detected, that there's some comments. There's also some track changes in here. So once I click clean, I will be alerted to any of that information that's in here. And so it's detected comments. I can delete or leave them. In this case, I'll leave them. And same with the Word document that's here. And then once I've cleaned the documents appropriately, I have the ability to save right back in the DMS or email it as necessary. So really overall, Metadact 4 is going to provide some increased functionality, some improvement to the workflow, and overall just enhanced performance for the user interface. You know, one of the big items that we've had requested was the ability to analyze passwords in the document in a much more efficient manner, which is something that we're definitely proud of that does now. And you know, I hope through all of this demonstration today that it gave you a good insight into the typical end user experience with Metadact 4. You know, with Metadact, we're able to clean all, you know, Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and PDFs, and as well as cleaning attached images within the email. Now let me bounce back to my PowerPoint here. And I just want to let everybody know about some of the next webinar that we have here, which is about DocX Tools Companion, and any resources that you could need from us, whether it's our support sites or contacting us about some more training, can be accessed through these emails and links below. Now, if you give us a moment here, we'll take a look at some of the questions that came in, and we'll be right back. So one of the questions that came in was asking about if you can customize the ribbon, and as for an example, remove the cleaning on or off button. So everything you saw in the Outlook ribbon is customizable based on any needs that you or your users have. So you can totally remove that cleaning on or off button to ensure that the user doesn't have that ability. And you can make it as simple as possible or as granular as possible, depending on your user workflow. The other item that question that came up was, if you're cleaning a document in Work 10 and saving it, can you relate to a document on the DMS or save as a next version? Yes, you do have that ability to save it as a new document, save it as a new version, or relate it to that document that you're working with. A couple other questions that came in are, can users create their own cleaning profile? You do have that option if you want. Most firms usually stick with the standard profiles that they like to have their users use, but there are situations where users like to deviate from that, and that is an ability with Metadact. And the last question that came in was about the Metadact ribbon and the Outlook plugin. We do find that the Outlook plugin gives you the most granular options to control the metadata that's being cleaned in the document. But of course, with server-based metadata, you do have the ability to turn that off and just have the server process it using the profile that's set up for the user. So let me take a quick look, see if anything else came in here. It looks like that was it. So if anybody has any further questions, feel free to let us know at training at Litera or even our support site, and we can definitely answer any other questions you have or point you in the right direction that you need to get the answers. I hope everyone has a good rest of the day, and thanks for joining today's webinar.